Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? It's a good bounce-back victory for the 76ers. I'm wired differently, okay? After an emotional loss, right? After the Sixers lose in Toronto the way that they did, I don't get all yippee and woohoo for a win against a terrible Sacramento Kings team the next game. It takes time for me to get over emotional losses against good basketball teams. So, it was good. It was good to see Joel Embiid bounce back and have 33 and 16. It was nice, but I still know that the way it went down in Toronto, I still know that that's not good enough, and the fact that the team is still making similar mistakes that they have made for a couple seasons now. There are some positives, though. There are some things to take away from this win against the Kings. For example, Matisse Thybulle, he was something special. He was a spark plug, and he is someone that can totally contribute if he plays like that. If he doesn't foul, he's someone who can totally contribute off the bench more than, say, I don't know, Furkan Korkmaz. Before we dive more into this game, I want to let you know about the promo code BROADS that you can use at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off of your total purchase. So you get to go to a game, you get to save money, you can use that towards other things, parking, beer, food. It's a no-brainer. Use the promo code BROADS today. I'm happy the Sixers got the win. It's not as if I'm mad about it, but I need to see more. I need to see more. I'm happy that Joel Embiid scored 33 points and recorded 16 rebounds. He started out hot. He was engaged from the beginning. He wanted to make sure he got buckets early. I get all that. But at the same time, he's going up against Holmes. I mean, right? So he's going up against Holmes compared to, say, Marc Gasol and guys that matter, and compared to guys that he will see in the postseason. That's the difference. It's hard for me to get so pumped up and excited for 33 and 16 when he's going up against crap. Now, that's not his fault. That's the way the schedule played out. It's not his fault. But that's the way I'm wired. I need more games to get me excited and to get me over that Toronto Raptors loss. I'm not over it yet at the end of the day. This win doesn't move the needle for me. I'm still disappointed with everything that occurred at the end of the game in Toronto. Let's get to some positives. Let's talk about Matisse Thybulle, who had 4 steals, 2 blocks, 15 points, 5 of 5 from the field, knocked down some free throws, 3 of 3 from deep. Now, that was very impressive. That was his best performance so far, of course. That was awesome, really. If he can do that consistently, yeah, now we're talking. And if that's what they saw out of him when they were drafting him, okay, I get it. But he needs to do that consistently. He gets into foul trouble a lot. Now, he had 3 fouls in the 21 minutes, but he was effective enough. And the post-game was throwing out this stat a million times because it is interesting. When Matisse Thybulle plays over 12 minutes, the Sixers are 11-1. So numbers are telling you that Matisse Thybulle is effective when playing 12 or more minutes. I know he fouls a lot, and it is a problem, and I've questioned that so far throughout his career. And by the way, let me just clarify, it's not like I stated he will never be able to find a way to not put his hands in the cookie jar. I know it takes time to learn this league, but he does put himself in brutal positions, which keeps him off the floor because he gets 4 fouls in 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 10 minutes. He's got 3 fouls in 10 minutes some games. What are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? You can't get on the court at that point. But he's disrupting. He's disrupting. And that's huge. This team's identity is defense. Well, throw the kid out there more. I'd rather see Matisse Thybulle out there than Furkan Korkmaz. Corky played 21 minutes in this game. 2 points. 2 points. Matisse Thybulle deserves more legit minutes. Look at me. Look at me. Who would have thought? It reminds me of the GIF. Look at us. Look at us. Who would have thought? But really, here I am talking about how I want Matisse Thybulle to play more minutes. Because if he can play like this, and I know, let's be real, I know that this isn't going to happen every single night. It's reality. Matisse Thybulle isn't going to automatically give you 4 steals, 2 blocks, 15 points, 100% from the field in 21 minutes every single night. But if he starts to get into rhythm with a serious role of a 25-minute type role off the bench, then maybe he will start to get rhythm with that offensive game. Maybe he will find confidence with the offensive side of the floor. We know he has it defensively. But I do want to bring one point up. And he did a great job on Buddy Hield, by the way. A great job. Buddy Hield puts up points in this league. He knocks down shots. Matisse Thybulle was a key piece to shutting down Buddy Hield in that second half. But you did see in Toronto players go after him with physicality. Buddy Hield isn't that. So he thrived with Buddy Hield. And I'm not taking away anything. I'm throwing it out there to put it, to at least acknowledge it. You saw when physical players on Toronto went in the post and went into him and put some shoulder into him, he fouled instantly and it was a different game. He was very effective against Buddy Hield, but Buddy Hield isn't that type of player. So he thrived against this type of player. He'll learn. He'll adjust. I know he will. I'm just throwing it out there. It is definitely something that has to be at least noticed and discussed. That it depends on the type of player that he is defending. Well, we saw that it could clearly be effective against someone like Buddy Hield, a smaller guard. He put his hands in there. He was making things happen. Not only that, but there was a time where he had a turnover. He tried to pass it across the court and got picked off. Mike Scott made a good play defensively to knock it off against the Kings player, but Matisse Thybulle picked it up, hustled all the way back down the court underneath the Sixers basket. He picked the ball up and threw it at a Kings player to go out of bounds, and the Sixers got the ball back. So after he made a mistake, right? After he made a mistake, he gets back on the defensive side and makes an energy play, makes a hustle play, and it puts the ball back with the 76ers. So he was tremendous. He really was. He was tremendous, and he was a spark plug. That third quarter run was all Matisse Thybulle. A block goes to a jam. A steal goes to a three-point play. The effort on the D side. He was great. He was electric, and the Wells Fargo Center completely rose because of him. And speaking of the Wells Fargo Center, the Sixers 8-0 at home. There's something about that place. There definitely is something about that place. So Matisse was great. The sad part is, though, the Sixers needed that run badly in the third quarter based off of the way the second quarter ended. Turnover. The Sixers saw a lead go away. And late in the second quarter, the Kings took the lead, but because of Raul Neto, at the end, last play of the second quarter, he puts in a little floater guy, and the Sixers are up 1 at half. But the ending of that first half was so bad. The ending of that second quarter, it was terrible. Ben Simmons had a brutal second quarter, but he comes out in the third and he's aggressive within the first 40 seconds, and then it dies out again. It's almost as if the start of every second half, Ben has this explosive mindset, and then it's over with. Now, speaking of Ben Simmons, he took 3 jump shots today. 3. 1, solid form. The only thing I will admit that I hate is all of them are these fadeaway jumpers. Why has everything got to be fadeaways? I'm a huge Ben Simmons supporter, but why does everything have to be fadeaways? I guess we can't be too greedy right now. We got to take it for what it is. At least he took 3 jumpers. Now, the first one he made, and it was nice and it was smooth. It was good looking. It wasn't as if it was hideous. The second one, he tries it again. Now, he missed the rim completely, but if you watched, and I can't believe that I'm satisfied with this because this is an NBA player that I'm talking about, right? But if you watched where it landed, it would have been perfect. It would have been nothing but net if it was just a little bit over. So it wasn't as if it was too strong or if it was too short. It was actually perfectly shot. It was just a little bit to the left, which made it hit nothing but backboard. Now, I can't believe I am going to say, well, at least it was the right distance, right? I can't believe I'm saying that. It wasn't as if it was too short or too long. This is an NBA player I'm talking about, but that's where we're at here with Ben Simmons. And I was surprised after how ugly the second shot was that he would actually take a third one, because so many times now, once Ben takes a shot and it's hideous looking, he's done. He shuts it off, but he didn't. He took a third one. It was a little strong. It hit the back part of the iron, but he was willing to shoot it. So 3 jump shots I counted. One of them went in. Little by little. I mean, that's where we're at right now with Ben Simmons. Little by little. Josh Richardson did not return after half. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. He has hamstring tightness, so he did not come out for the second half, and he did not go out on the court. So let's really pray that is not anything that will keep him out of the lineup for long. He has had some lingering issues, nothing major, but he has been out of the lineup for a couple games based off of little nagging injuries. He's been balling. There's no denying it. He's been one of our most effective players. So we need him to be on the court. It seems as if he's starting to find his identity with this team. He's starting to figure himself out and figure out what his role is. And you're seeing that with his play. He's scoring the ball. He's very confident right now. So I don't want him out of the lineup for too long, because we're going to need him to step up. I've been very, very pleasantly surprised. It's not as if I've been shocked. Wow, I've never seen this coming. But pleasantly surprised. And what I mean by that is he hasn't been playing like this the whole season. The last few games, it really picked up, and it picked up just like that. It went from, okay, what is Josh Richardson, to boom, just like that. Okay, that's what he is. So I'm saying pleasantly surprised by how quick the transition was. It was once, okay, to boom. And he's also bringing it defensively, and that is huge. Now, let's get to Mike Scott. If I'm going to rip someone like Furkan Korkmaz for bad basketball games, which I absolutely do, where he goes, over from 3, I got to keep it 100, right? Mike Scott had a Furkan Korkmaz type game. 0 of 6 from 3, 0 of 7 from the field. He's got to be better. He has to be better. There have been times this season where he's been unbelievable. 4-4 from deep, and when I mean deep, I'm talking deep. There were moments where he came up big time off the bench, but not consistent enough. We need more out of Mike Scott. Mike Scott is a veteran player who has a good game, who brings the toughness, right? He brings toughness to the squad. He hasn't been great defensively either as a whole. I know I mentioned that one play earlier where he tipped the ball and threw it off someone, but all around, so far this season, he hasn't been noticeably really good defensively. I need more out of Mike Scott. These type of games, they're unacceptable. It can't happen. He needs to knock him down. It wasn't as if these shots were contested either. He's got to be able to knock these shots down. One of those nights for him, I guess, but he's got to be able to do it. I need more out of Mike Scott. Al Horford contributed the standard 12, 7, and 5 veteran old man type game. I love it. After the game, I'm looking up the stats and I'm writing my notes down and all that. And I always go to Al Horford and I just think, before I see the numbers, you know what you're going to get, right? Somewhere around 12 to 15 points with 8 rebounds, maybe 7 assists, something in that ballpark. He just gives you those veteran numbers, the old man at LA Fitness type numbers. You're going to notice Al Horford more in the playoffs. And I mentioned that once we signed him and during the season preview video, Al Horford will stand out more when it matters in the playoffs compared to regular season games where he kind of slides under the radar and just does the little things. Tobias Harris in this basketball game, it wasn't great. it wasn't great. It wasn't absolutely terrible, but I thought he forced some things. He could clearly be better. Let's just go to that extent. I will say, the Kings stink. But it would have been a little more entertaining if De'Aaron Fox was playing, if Bagley was playing, just to see some of the young guns going. Early in the game, and I know you can say this about any NBA basketball game, but the first quarter, into the second quarter, slow-paced, no energy in the building. It was kind of as if both teams were just going through the motion. And like I said, you can say that's how any NBA game really is. Growing up, you always heard, well, why don't you just watch the last 2 minutes of the basketball game because that's the only thing that matters, right? That's what a lot of people say. But I don't see it that way. I understand the first quarter, people try and feel out the game. You try and put up some shots to see who's in rhythm. You just go back and forth, slow-paced, if you will, in the first quarter and all. I get that. But it was noticeably down with energy. But eventually, the Sixers picked it up. My point was, as I lost my train of thought there, players, young players, it keeps me engaged more. I enjoy Buddy Hield. He's a nice story, but De'Aaron Fox is explosive. He can take it to the rack. He's adding to his game. He's definitely developing. It would have just made it more entertaining to watch. And I watched Bagley play at Duke. What type of player is he going to be? I don't really care about Holmes or some of these other players on the Kings other than Buddy Hield. There was no one that moved the needle for me. And when he's the only one out there, and when Matisse Thybulle shutting him down, then what? Then what? So listen, they got the win. It wasn't pretty. It definitely wasn't pretty. The biggest takeaway is clearly Matisse Thybulle. He was electric. He was exciting. You saw a flash. You saw what this kid can be. I mean, really, you saw what this kid can be. When we drafted him, I would have never expected that he'd be able to put on a performance like this, and he was able to. I want to see if he can build off that. I want to see if Brett Brown allows him to build off that, because for some reason, he is in love with Furkan Korkmaz, and for some reason, he does not commit to putting Matisse Thybulle in more. But maybe this changed his mind. Maybe Matisse Thybulle made the most of his opportunity to the point where Brett Brown has his hands tied behind his back and he has to put him in because of how well he played. Maybe that will happen. We mentioned how Joel Embiid looked fatigued and uninterested in Toronto. He's been playing a lot of basketball as of late. He played the back-to-back with the Spurs and then with Jimmy Butler in town. Well, we have a back-to-back coming up this weekend too. I would guess that there will be a game where he rests pretty soon. It seems like that's coming up. If I had to guess, it seems that will come up at some point. And lastly, let's just throw this out there. Jimmy Butler has this video where he's getting interviewed and he says that some guys with the Sixers didn't work as hard as me. I don't understand. This guy says this about every team he's on. That's all great that he goes to the gym at 4 a.m. to put up shots. You're working hard, but it's not correlating to this superstar guy in the NBA who wins titles all the time. Like sometimes, believe it or not, you can work too hard and go out of your way to do things that doesn't necessarily correlate to winning. And I forget where I saw this at, honestly, but it was perfect. So what you wake up at 4 a.m. to put up shots? If your game is at 7 p.m., what's the difference if you wake up to get up shots at 4 a.m., or if you do it at 7 a.m., or if you do it at 10 a.m., or 11 a.m.? What's the difference? I don't understand Jimmy Butler's mindset. I really don't. And I like the guy, and I love that he's an alpha. You need some swagger in organizations on certain teams. You need the alpha. You need the guy who's willing to take the last shot. Because right now with the Sixers, I don't know who it is. Well, it's probably Joel Embiid. But here's the thing. He'll get doubled. And speaking of doubled, I don't know how this slipped my mind, but he got doubled a few times in this game and made some very solid passes. Now, one of them, and this was later in the game, now the score wasn't super, super close, he got doubled and he couldn't find anyone and he ended up heaving a three. But here's the thing. No one was moving for him. No one was helping him. No one was getting in position for Embiid to be able to make a pass. But he was getting doubled in this game. But it's not the same as Marc Gasol and some elite defense like he saw in Toronto. It's a different team. This team stinks. But getting back to my point with Jimmy Butler, you need someone like that. But I don't understand his mindset. It's so weird. Oh, not everyone works as hard as me. Not everyone works as hard as me. And then he bashes guys in Minnesota and in Philly. And listen, I'm sure there are guys like Ben Simmons. And he stated some guys don't do it for winning championships. Some guys do it for money, for fame, for cars. And I get that. And Ben Simmons, if I had to guess, might be one of those guys. Doesn't mean he doesn't work hard. Does he work as hard as Jimmy Butler? Maybe not. I think he works hard and wants to win a championship. And he cares about the money, fame, and all of that. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean it's right. Jimmy Butler doesn't care about all that stuff, and what does he want? So it doesn't mean it's the right or wrong way to do it. I'm just confused on Jimmy. He's always talking about the Sixers right now. It seems like the Sixers are clearly on his mind. I don't know. He's something different. Always talking about how people don't work hard as hard as him. It's to the point now where the more he keeps talking about it, the more he keeps drilling it into the media. People, the more he keeps doing it, I start to question it. People who have that mindset of, I'm going to work harder than you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, they just do it. They just do it. They don't talk about it. All Jimmy does is talk about it. What are you going to do? Moral of the story, the Sixers get the W. They get the win. They move on to the next game. I'm happy. It's cool to see Joel give 33 and 16, but you're going up against Holmes. And I'm not over the Raptors game yet. I'm not. Let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. I will see you next time.